Now we're going to study how to use supply and demand to predict changes in prices and the quantities traded. This is the great advantage of supply and demand. It gives us insight into the future and an ability to predict the past. Why do prices rise and fall? And why do quantities traded increase or decrease? Analysts follow a simple 7-step procedure to predict how an event affects the equilibrium price and quantity. First, sketch a graph with the price of the good on the vertical axis and the quantity of the good on the horizontal axis. Second step, draw supply and demand for the good before the event occurs. Use the intersection of the supply and demand curves to identify the equilibrium price and quantity before the event occurs. Mark them on the axes. They are the initial values for price and quantity. These first 3 steps give you a starting point. They say, here's the market before something happened. Now let's figure out what's going to happen from there. Step 4, identify whether or not the event shifts the demand curve for the good, and if needed, draw a second demand curve showing the demand after the event occurs. If the event increases demand, the demand curve shifts to the right. If the event decreases demand, the demand curve shifts to the left. If the event does not affect demand, the demand curve does not shift. Step 5, identify whether or not the event shifts the supply curve for the good, and, if needed, draw a second supply curve showing the supply after the event occurs. If the event increases supply, the supply curve shifts to the right. If the event decreases supply, the supply curve shifts to the left. If the event does not affect supply, the supply curve does not shift. Now use the intersection of the supply and demand after the event occurs to identify the equilibrium price and quantity after the event occurs. Mark them on the axes. They are the final values for price and quantity. Step 7, compare the initial price and quantity with the final price and quantity. If no curve shifts, you predict that the price and quantity remain constant. The equilibrium price and quantity change if, and only if, demand or supply or both change. The following table summarizes the effects of changes in supply and demand. If demand increases, the equilibrium quantity increases and price also increases. If demand decreases, the equilibrium quantity and price both decrease. If supply increases, the equilibrium quantity will increase and the equilibrium price will decrease. If supply decreases, equilibrium quantity decreases and the equilibrium price increases. Let's take a break here and pick up with another lecture in a second.